So I'm going to begin by just orientating us by sharing some slides. So today, we welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to do a little bit, since there's some new folks who haven't interacted with 3Peak before. We're going to be doing a little bit 5-minute introduction of what 3Peak is and how we support folks. And then we're going to start really the session, and we're going to move right into experiential exercise. What you'll notice is that we really love to share experiences, and then afterwards we can support people by giving an understanding. And then we're going to do some breakout room sharing throughout. So if you feel comfortable, we'd love if you have the cameras on for that moment, and you just have a quick sharing with a partner. There'll be some instructions. We'll give some explanation around intentions and the science of intention. And then again, we'll have an opportunity to do a little bit more sharing, some experiential exercises. We'll have a section where we link it to business and just work in general, so that whether you're just managing yourself or you're managing other people in your company, you have an understanding of how this might apply to the workplace. And then finally, we like to usually do a 3Peak thank you. So if you stick around to the end, we're going to share some things with you that we think you're going to enjoy. So with that, I'm going to go into the quick 5-minute presentation about 3Peak and what we do. So, 3Peak, we are a leadership consulting company, and we do operate globally. So we do operate across all time zones. And what we really try to do is deliver transformative results by either solving business problems or helping companies develop people. We do that through consultations, individual coaching, team workshops, and we're really trying to support businesses to operate with order, direction, and harmony. And to do that, we bring all our different backgrounds, myself, Kursana Mazen, so that we're really combining experiential learning, scientific understanding, and business application. So as I mentioned, the three of us, myself, Mino, Kursana, Mazen, we are the co-founders of 3P Coaching and Solutions. And we each have a different functional role within the organization, and we also have different backgrounds. So I'll share a tiny bit about our backgrounds. So for myself, I started more in finance, mergers and acquisitions, management consulting, and then I eventually transitioned to executive coaching and team development. So I was doing that in another consulting company for a few years, and then decided to start 3Peak with Kriszana and Mazen. Kriszana is a therapist who supported hundreds, if not thousands, across the world. She's lived in 9 countries. She started wellness centers in Istanbul, Santiago, New York, Berlin, and really loves to share all the different modalities she learned from meditation, mindfulness, therapeutic techniques, and is really beautiful and part of our experiential kind of exercises that we do. And Mazen, he is, by background, he has a PhD in neuroscience. He's worked in biology, physiology. He also did research with trauma and migration. So he supported in 2015 the Syrian refugees that were entering Germany. And then he was a practitioner of serving some of these techniques and tools to businesses, consultation. And now, again, we've all joined together to create 3Peak. 3Peak, what's very important to us, so we really mention it almost every time, is that we have a very clear mission, is we really try to help leaders who want to master the art of leadership and be in symbiosis with people and planet. And really, we move beyond climate destruction, human inequity, divisions, and war. We also really feel like we want to give back to those folks who might not have as many resources. So we really try to give back to charities as much as we can from 3Peak revenues. One of the things that sets us apart and why we do the kind of experiential knowledge and then the scientific understanding, the business application, is that when you look at your typical training, within 6 days, you've forgotten absolutely all of it. So you do this kind of very wonderful thing, and then a week later, you've forgotten everything. So what we try and do is do trainings that actually really stick with you, not only days after, but years after. And when we've studied some of the folks who have been through some of these experiences, their learning retention is 75% after 6 years, which we're quite proud of. So one kind of quick more thing is, so what do we do? How do we support people? As I mentioned, we either solve problems or we help develop people. So within solving problems, problems that can emerge in the workplace can range from more frequent ones like performance issues, misbehavior, your strategy is stuck, and can go all the way to the more extraordinary. So we've supported with corporate civil wars, corporate coups, things that are much more intense. To do that, we bring a variety of methods and tools that help us kind of look at what's happening on a systemic level. So people often operate not just individuals, but within systems, and those systems tend to be invisible to us. So we make them visible so we can work with what's happening within a group, a team, a function, or a company. We work with strategy. So where is your innovation strategy potentially getting stuck? And then we have measurement tools, diagnostics that support us to measure what's happening within your leadership, your corporate wellness, and how you're able to adapt to change. We also, as I mentioned, like to develop people. So we have a model that we call the master leadership model that helps us develop folks. And then we develop a variety of skills. I really don't expect anyone to read all this, but we help to really develop skills in leadership, wellness, and change so that you and your people are equipped to adapt to change as it happens on an individual and organizational level. And so that is it for our quick presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I am now going to pass it over to Chrisana, who's going to support us to move into that experiential exercise.
Thanks, Mino. So we're going to go into an experience. So I would like everyone, hopefully, that you have some paper. So I'd like you to get 2 pieces of paper and a pen. Yes, remember those times when we used to write on paper and pen? And have 2 separate pieces of paper. And for paper 1, first of all, sit comfortable. Yeah, sit comfortable and have your feet on the ground. Be at ease. That's right. Yeah. And for now, on paper 1, I would just like you to close your eyes for a moment. And I'd like you to listen to these words, reflect on it, and then write it down. So just close your eyes. And why are you here today? And the next question is, what do you need in your life right now? And then I would like you to open your eyes and start allowing yourself just to write what comes up without thinking, without judging. Why are you here today? And what do you need in your life right now? And we have just easily 2 minutes or a minute and a half now. And also, even if you've already completed that, you with writing on the paper, I then would also like you to turn that paper over and place it on your table or wherever you are, so it's out of the way. Great. Okay, so putting the pens down and taking in a breath and coming back to your body. And from here, we can just let go of the thoughts and the mind. And we're going to go into a support with a...
Yes, we're gonna, like, it's a mutual facilitation to support us to harmonize first with ourselves. I'm gonna just guide you towards silence where it feels safe and relaxed in your body while seated. And I'm gonna just go do 2 minutes singing bowls, crystal bowls. I cannot show you, they're below here, so the microphone will pick it up. It's just more to harmonize. The brain waves really enjoy a frequency that is constant and is very harmonious. So the body knows what to do with it. So we're just starting with it to allowing our brain waves to regulate. And then once I take you in this 2 minutes, Krisana will be guiding you to a small meditation, grounding, and then from there. So we ask you during this time to close your eyes so you allow your energy to stay in. Make sure that where you're seated, you don't have surprises. Nobody can barge in. So you can create safety, and then your nervous system can relax. I invite you all to close your eyes. Just really feeling yourself sitting loose, relaxed, feeling the safety of the ground underneath you, how you are supported, and there's not much to do. And just allow the sound and the vibration to be received by you.
And as you are sitting with your eyes closed, quiet and comfortable, bringing your awareness to your physical body with the feet on the floor or in contact with the surface where you're sitting, and the weight of your body sitting on the surface of a chair, cushion, and the air temperature around you. Just taking a few moments to explore these sensations without judgment. Just attuning in sensations consciously, and we learn to trust ourselves. And now bringing your awareness to your breath, your breathing. So I invite you to breathe in. So breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. And just watching the breath going in, the breath going out, the breath going in, the breath going out. And as you may know, you breathe in the here and now. You cannot breathe tomorrow, and you cannot breathe yesterday. You have to breathe this moment, but you can think in the future, or you can think about the past. But the body is always in the present moment, and mind goes on hopping from future to past. But the body is always present here now, and so is your breathing. So your breath and your body keeps you here in this moment. So this is where we would like to allow ourselves to be, is in the present with the breath. And when we're relaxed and at ease, without tension, without any intention inside, just being available for the universe to flow through you, then much can happen. So just allow yourself to be like a hollow bamboo, and a lot can flow inside and out. And now I invite you to take a breath in and breathing out, and you can slowly open your eyes and come back here now. What I would like you to do again now is to get paper 2. And close your eyes. Write down on a much deeper level now what has come up from your unconscious, where you're more in connection with yourself. What do I really need in my life today, right now? What do I really need? And write that down. Good. And why am I here today? Really, why am I here today? For me, why are you here today? Great. Once you've done that, you can put your pen down. And that was the experiential exercise structure we just did. And then I'll pass it to Mino.
So we're now going to go into some breakout rooms. We'll have 4 minutes total, so you'll have a partner. And we just want you to share. One partner speaks and one partner listens. What did you notice the difference was between when you reflected on the questions on paper 1 and when you reflected on questions for paper 2? Was there something that was different in the quality of answering the questions? Were the answers themselves different? So just sharing for a couple minutes each. So we're going to do 4 minutes total, and then we're going to come back. So I'm going to open the rooms, and then we'll see you back in 4 minutes. And I'm now going to pass it back to Mazen, who's going to give us a little bit of the now intellectual understanding behind intention setting.
Thank you, Mino. I like to call it the understanding, but yes, it's let us call it intellectual. First of all, we don't have time to go and then hear from each one of you how it was your experience. We're trusting that the wisdom within you was able to connect the dots So I'm going to be sharing just one angle, but just the basic understanding of that energy, of that thought that is within us, which is called intention. And actually why most of the time we do not succeed, and then even we question our intention. So first of all, I'm really going to start with the difference between intention and what really we do. There's a huge difference between intention and the outcome. Most of the time, when we bring intention, when we allow intention to be put, to be created from within us, to be set, we're really focusing on the outcome. And there are two completely different things. Normally, the intention to happen, it has to do that with something that we really need. What does it mean, something we really need, instead of something we really want? When we ask ourselves why I'm here for, the first thing that comes, I want this or I want that. Or in our life, I want health, I want many things we really want, but we really never question within ourselves. But how to make an intention really come to life? Only when it's aligned physically, emotionally, and mentally. So anything that it's not aligned, or those three different bodies, it's out of alignment, it becomes a want, it becomes a desire, and actually it's bound to fail. And most of the time it's short term. So this is one understanding. So a need is something that is really aligned within our system, and a want that needs an outcome has nothing to do with intention. The same thing what happens on New Year's Eve, or when we say I have resolution. We are talking about outcomes, how I want to live, how I want to feel, but we're never focusing on the now moment. Another thing, the now moment, everything, all the intention happens in the now moment. And the issue is how we criticize ourselves that we fail the intention. We can never fail intention because every single moment you can set it up again. The issue is with so much expectation and so much disappointment, we drop and let go and doubt the intention that came really from within. And actually, it's every now moment, if we allow ourselves that we stepped out of the way, we just check our intention. And then to slowly defeat our doubt, our questioning and understanding, if that resonates well within my body, within my emotion, and within my mind, I'm on the right track. So for the way forward, actually, the only compass is the self, the body, the emotion, and the brain. This is just a small snippet to give a small angle to support us in this session moving forward. Mino, to you.
So when we look at how we act in our day-to-day, there are basically two strategies, if I oversimplify, that we can take up at any moment. The first strategy is to be more in action. We're doing, trying. And the other strategy is to be more in reflection. So we're receptive, receiving, observing, and sometimes we have a preference or a style that we tend to emphasize one more than the other. So sometimes we're more active, and sometimes we're passive. Both have strengths and both have beauty. And if we get stuck in one, then it can alter how our intentions come to be. So I'm going to ask now a short question, one to Krisanna and one to Mazen, to bring this to life. So Krisanna, I know some folks, I'm going to take the slide down, they share about wanting to manifest things. So I want to manifest something into being. What is the difference between manifesting and intention setting?
So with manifesting, it's very much outer oriented. I want to manifest abundance into my life. I want to manifest a car. So it's a outer oriented desire, whereas intention starts within. And actually for me, there's many aspects we can share about intention, but I would like to say intention is, how would I say, it's a principle for how you want to live your life, how you want to be in your relationships and in your work and your career. So it's more from within. The thing is, with intention, it's also being able to link up the intention from within with a healthy eco structure with your will, the willingness And then out of that, there will be an outcome. So if I sit and I manifest, I want to manifest, but I do not take an action, then it will not happen. It has to be linking, aligned, as Mazen had said, with the thoughts, with the body. And so an action can take place. So for example, if I want to set an intention of starting a meditation practice or going for a walk in the morning, what I will do is set the intention, set my alarm clock, go to bed early, and perform the action in the morning of getting up and going out to practice the meditation or for a walk. But in this, there's a willingness. There's the will with the intention, and this creates the action. So that's what I would like to say on it.
And Mazen, if you think of someone that is really active, trying, doing, that's their set default, what would you say in terms of intention setting for that individual?
For this specific case, actually, when we're really trying many intentions, actually that means something is failing and we're over trying. That means we really are saturated, and the best way to know where we are is to drop down, stop. Before the intention is to stop, to go into a place of reflection. Again, reflection is not a doing. It means we really feel safe. We stop and we go into stillness a little bit. And then we allow ourselves to really see what needs to come up because we tried enough. So when we're over trying, then first of all, we need to stop. And then intention will arise in the right time.
Beautiful. So now we're going to do our last breakout rooms, and we're going to again do 4 minutes, so 2 minutes for each partner. And we'd love for you to just discuss while one person speaks, one person listens. Do you find yourself kind of acting out one or both of these patterns at times? Are you more kind of in a reflective, passive, observant space, and you would like to try things more? Do you find yourself more doing, and need some more reflection? So sharing a little bit about what strategy you tend to employ thus far, and maybe what might be something different you could try out. So I'm going to open them up again, and I will see everyone back in 4 minutes. And we are now going to turn to one of my favorite topics, which is, well, how does this apply to my workplace? How do I actually do this at work? So there's a couple of things I wanted to share. So I'm going to start by sharing a little bit of a story, which is actually an experiment that has been done and replicated many times in psychology. So what the researchers did is they went to children in classrooms and they put out drawing materials, crayons, markers, paper, and the kids really loved it. So they would go and they would draw and they would color and they would have a ton of fun. And unbeknownst to the kids, poor children, is that they were actually divided into two groups, Group A and Group B. And all the kids were really loving the drawing. But Group A, what they started to do is every time they would draw, they would give them a reward. And so the kids would draw and get a reward, draw and get a reward. The participants in Group B, the kids, they were given no reward or they were given rewards very randomly. Like there was no rhyme or reason to when or why they got rewards. And what we saw was that over time, Group B still loved drawing. So they still loved coloring and having fun. Group A, though, stopped coloring after a while. They started demanding to get the reward so that they could do the activity. And we've seen this multiple times that when you essentially put a reward, play turns into work. And so the kids thought that coloring became work and they wanted the reward to do work. So even though it's something they actually really enjoyed, they stopped doing it. And one of the underlying things is that when we have something that's conditional, that's why we talk about the outcome a lot. When we have something that's, if I do something, then I'll get something later. What we're actually doing is we're giving our power away to the rewarder. So whoever's giving the cookie has the power over us. And when we don't have that much power, we actually have less motivation. So our motivation decreases. This is often referred to as extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic is we do something because we're going to get a reward. Intrinsic is because there's something within us that finds pleasure in the activity. So either we are going to have joy or curiosity, something that we are going to do for our own benefit. And what we see is that the intrinsic way of motivating ourselves has higher sustained output over time. So you might think by putting a reward, we can kind of juke the stats and pump up our output for a little bit of time, but then actually it crashes after after a certain amount of time. So we go high and then low, high and then low. It's really a start and stop. So if we feel that in our own intention setting, start, stop, it might be because we're acting out of extrinsic motivation and not intrinsic motivation. So if you want higher output, higher productivity, and sustainability, it's good to toggle into the intrinsic motivation system. So within the workplace, there's a couple of things that I find kind of fun. The first is Goodhart's law, which says when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So we like to quantify things at work to put outcome measures on things. But when we do this, we kind of create some like weird incentives and people start competing for the actual number instead of what's under the number or what the number represents. So one thing that's interesting is when we've done studies on the workplace and we get a performance rating, so you get a 1 to 5, 18% of women cry upon receiving their performance review, and 25% of men cry upon receiving their performance review. So somewhere between 18 to 25% of people burst into tears upon getting their performance review. And what we find is reviews tend to increase competition between staff, they increase favoritism. There's these radical swings between very complacent and being very severe. And there's actually a fear of conflict that starts to emerge. Now, again, this isn't to just say we should go remove everything and change everything from a 1 hour webinar, but we should at least question some of the targets and numerical metrics that we have. The second is the Cobra effect, where an incentive, which is designed to solve a problem, ends up rewarding people for making it worse. So I have a recent example. I was talking to my father, who is in academia, and he was sharing that um, when he's asked his group to create an average of 6 research papers, some people think that because they're very smart, well, if it's an average, I can do 4 and someone else will do 8 and we'll still get to 6. And so the group productivity can fall because they're doing the math and saying, well, I can be on the lower end of the average. Conversely, he says if you just say, I want 8 papers, they'll create 8 papers that have very low innovation or creativity. So just placing a number doesn't serve people because it's actually the quality of the paper that we're looking for. And not and not just kind of pumping out a lot of papers for the sake of pumping out papers. So those are 2 ways where metrics can lead us in the wrong direction. So when do I use these things at work? Again, there's nothing bad about extrinsic motivation. It can be a useful tool. So when we look at the workplace, there's 2 kinds of tasks. Again, oversimplifying, there's algorithmic tasks, which think about an algorithm is I follow a set of instructions, I go down a single pathway, and there's a certain conclusion we want to reach to. So it's like that very kind of like we're doing timesheets, expense reports, like things that have very linear A, B, C steps. Currently, studies show that 30% of job tasks in the United States are algorithmic tasks. Researchers found that these tend to be pretty well motivated by extrinsic motivators, so rewards and punishments. However, if we move to something called heuristic tasks, this is where a set of instructions isn't included. We really need to experiment with possibilities and devise a novel solution, be creative. Currently, 70% of job tasks in the US are actually heuristic tasks. And these respond much better to intrinsic motivation, to finding the intrinsic curiosity and joy in what we're doing. So if we're doing strategic thinking or a marketing campaign, these are things that there isn't really a defined set of you do A, then B, then C. We actually need to use our creativity. So that's where the intrinsic motivation supports us to do that. So next time we're kind of, again, figuring out how to motivate folks, employees or ourselves, maybe just take a listen at this. And another fun fact is with AI and automation, a lot of algorithmic tasks will be automated. So more and more, we will be tasked with heuristic responsibilities. So creativity, novelty, exploring things, which means more and more we're asking for folks to do intrinsic motivation and to really tap into intention setting without outcome instead of extrinsic motivation that has very clear outcome. So that is a little bit around how this might apply to the workplace. And so for one last exercise, I'm going to pass it back to Chrisana, and then we're going to hear a little bit from you and then close out at the end. So I hand it to Chrisana.
Thank you, Mino. So we've received all that in our mind, and now I'd like to just go to another experiential structure for you. And this is what I'm going to give you. It's called the great law. It's a principle. So I'd like you to close your eyes just for a moment. And it's about living the results, and the course will follow. Now, so right now, think of a desire. So think of a thought, a desire. Okay. And write it down. So I would just like you then to open your eyes and write down the desire. Yeah. And then close your eyes again after you've written it down. And this is where I'd like you to visualize your inner state of being if you were to get this desire. So it's about this awareness technique, or we can say it as a meditation, is to the result of having obtained your desire. For example, if you found the right work, or that was a desire, if you found the right partner, how would you be? What would be the result for yourself? How would you be living your life? Perhaps you're glowing, you're alive with joy, vital. So this becomes the meditation, the awareness is to live the result, and the course will follow. So just closing your eyes and feeling that aspect, that result, if you have this and you're living this at the moment. So the aspect of this technique, it frees us from feeling from something from the outside that we have to get for us to change before we allow ourselves to experience the type of lives we want, but really we cultivate the feelings around what it would be like to have our needs met, and life will unfold in the direction that meets their needs. So that's a nice awareness meditation to take with you. Thank you.
So before we share, as I mentioned, our kind of three-peak thank you to everyone, we'd like to spend the next just 4 or 5 minutes hearing a little bit from you, just sharing a little bit how this was for you, how you found the experience, and then we'll close out. So feel free to take yourself off mute and just share a little bit for a minute, 30 seconds, a minute. Would anyone else like to share as well?
Allow it to come forth. Like as we said, like here now, most of you probably are thinking, do I speak? Do I not speak? This is the exercise we did. It's about intention. So most of you are kind of failing in intention because and then doubting it. So show us the opposite. So stop thinking. And then if your body really something aligns and something I forgot to say, when the thought, the emotion followed by the word, it will be followed by the action, you are 100% bound to succeed. But there's no question about it. So allow yourself to dive into this experiment. So actually, it's sometimes you say, oh, okay, if nobody answers, then it's over. I'm like, no, we're gonna sit until a few of you dare to show us courage before departing.
One last experiment. If you got excited when I said we had a secret kind of special thing to offer at the end, that was an extrinsic cookie that I offered. So just notice that. I actually do have a cookie, but I just want everyone to be aware of that there was a cookie, because everyone out there who's marketing and advertising, they're giving us tons of cookies, social media, tons of cookies. Cookies are awesome. And just to be aware that I'm eating a cookie. So we actually would like to offer you a cookie. Uh, which is, we have a few bonus gifts we'd like to give you as part of participating in this. The first is a resource guide that will recap a lot of what we shared today. We have a cool online course on procrastination that we're going to share with everyone. We also created sound healings and meditations for leaders that will give you access to if you want to move into receptivity. And we also have a wellness quiz and report if you want to check in a little bit on your physical and emotional health. So that is a little bit of what we'd like to offer you today. And thank you so much for participating in this webinar. This is our first one, and we're going to have one probably once a quarter. So if you enjoyed it, we'd love to have you again. And of course, we'd love if you can bring a friend. And yes, enjoy the rest of your day, your evenings. Thank you all for participating.